Which one?
3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome back to this new episode of the Strange Tiny Table Talk with your favorite band in town, Everyday Strangers. My name is Siko and today we have a new guest and his name is Mad Max Sax Levy. Max is actually a sax player here in town and he plays tenor sax. I believe he can play anything else. He's been playing with many other players around town and he's a phenomenal person and phenomenal player. So I'm really happy that we're gonna have a good time together, you know. So let's start. Where are you originally from, Max?
Well, I was born in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. But I grew up partly outside D.C., and then when I came of age, I was 5 or 6 years old with my family when we moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, which is about 15 minutes from the beach. It's right on the East Coast, southeast North Carolina. So I grew up there and went to undergrad at East Carolina University and got a bachelor's degree in music performance, and that's how I, learned some things and got some experience and really tried to hone in on the craft of performing jazz and related music. And then this spring of 2016, I met Bobby Watson. He was a clinician that came in, and I was picked to drive him around, from the airport to the hotel and so forth. So I talked to Bobby and he was telling me about UMKC, and I was thinking about doing a master's degree somewhere. I had auditioned at North Texas. I had gotten in, but no scholarship money, so I didn't really want to do it. So I was looking for another thing to do, and so fortunately UMKC worked out. I got in, and they found some scholarship money, and lo and behold, I moved out here in August of 2016, and I've been here ever since.
Yep. So Bobby Watson, he's been an influence for so many players here, at the UMKC Conservatory of Music, and also I believe, in the black community, he's a big influence. Also the jazz scene here, Tell us a little bit about your experience, your personal experience with Bobby as mentor and student and mentee.
Well, he's unlike anyone else I know, that's for sure. He's very passionate. He's very willing to help you, You shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. He's very good about addressing, holes in a person's playing. I remember the first lesson I had with him, he gave me a bunch of stuff to work on, and he said, I've been wanting to get at you for a long time. So, even when I met him before I moved out here, he knew right away what would help me and what some things I could focus on better. And, he just was good at addressing those holes in my playing, which, I'm still working on to this day. But he was a mentor because I think partly he's so good at being musically aware of everybody's talents and what everybody brings to the table and what things each of us as an individual player can work on. And he also was helpful in seeing things differently in terms of composition. He's a great composer. His degree from Miami was in composition. So that's something else I'm trying to do more of, is compose and write original music and get more into that. So he was very good about letting me think about composing in different ways. He would mention ideas like thinking of an emotion, happy, sad, glee, drunkenness, just a whole array of different things, and try and write a melody to that emotion.
Wow.
So what does being drunk sound like? It could be falling chromaticism, it could be clashing chords, it could be just an array of stuff. So that was, for instance, an assignment he gave me.
Yeah.
So that, let me see things a little differently.
Wow, I've heard of that before, but never heard of somebody actually applying, like really, really thinking about deeply emotions and trying to apply them in their playing. That's next level thing. Can you tell Bobby Watson to come here in the studio?
I'll give him a text message. Yeah. Hey, Bobby, come on down. I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Definitely. So, also, you've been around a little bit for just a little bit, around the U.S. What can you tell about the Kansas City jazz scene or maybe the music scene in general? What are your thoughts?
I think it's very strong. I think because of a number of reasons. One is because there's just so many different venues to play, and you could look at it a number of ways. You could think, okay, downtown we have, Green Lady Lounge, the Phoenix, the Black Dolphin, Corvino, 18th and Vine stuff.
Yeah.
The Majestic. That's right. There's so many places where you could either meet people, listen to people, network. You gotta meet people, or else they won't think of you for a gig or for a referral. There's local radio stations. You can do stuff through KKFI, KCUR. All that's part of the music scene. And then you think about the suburbs. You can find something. There's a lot of outdoor concerts in Overland Park, Lenexa. There's some places in Independence to play. So it's just, there's a lot of, I think, opportunity, but you have to make it work.
Yeah.
You have to, get to know people. You have to kind of be somewhat of an entrepreneur mindset and just put yourself out there. And it can be intimidating. I mean, I still get intimidated. I certainly am in my still developing growth stage, and you never do stop developing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Disclaimer, can you talk to people who are out of state that you come to Kansas City?
Well, I would have mixed feelings about that because, number one, I want to have the gigs.
Yeah.
So don't come here. But no, in real honesty, it should definitely be an option, especially when you compare things like cost of living to LA and New York. And I've also heard great things about, New Orleans has a scene, Chicago. So there's pockets of a similar instance where you have a real jazz scene like in Kansas City.
Yes.
But it's in other places in the country for sure. And it's good to experience that as well. You could book a tour and go through Minneapolis and Milwaukee. I've heard good things about as well. So you just have to be aware, and that's another thing that networking can do for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not only good for you to work in Kansas City, but it's also good because that could lead to something else. And the other thing about KC is Lawrence, Topeka, Omaha, Nebraska, all those are relatively close enough where you can work there too. I still am in a salsa band, Son Venezuela, and they're often in Kansas. They play a lot in Lawrence and Topeka, and that's perfectly doable for a gigging musician to go over there and play and meet other people. So I think that's another great thing about Kansas City in particular, because there's so many ways you could go to find work that it's likely you will find work.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your influences in music.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
You're one of them, I would say, no, realistically, it's anybody who I get the chance to play with is an inspiration and is part of an influence on me. But bigger picture, I started listening to music, I guess, on my own when I was 9 or 10 years old. And that was kind of a lot of early rock and roll. So a lot of Elvis Presley, Bill Haley and the Comets, Chuck Berry, maybe some blues, B.B. King, Albert King. So all that I started kind of listening to in terms of any music I was getting my hands on. And then I started to buy records, big band records. So I would go to some antique shops with a friend of mine who used to redo old fans, like old GE 50s, 60s fans and telephones. And he was, really into electronics, and he did all that, and he redoes cars and car engines. So I would go around town, around Wilmington, North Carolina with him. He would get stuff for his mechanical stuff, and I would get records. And so a lot of it was big band, Woody Herman, some Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Benny Goodman. And so from that, I started to really dig into jazz. And then I was learning saxophone in school, 7th grade, 6th grade. And then I started listening to the saxophone players in the big band, and then ventured out into trio, quartet, classic jazz groups.
Yeah.
One being Ben Webster meets Oscar Peterson, I think was kind of my first real jazz small group recording. And so that blew me away, just the swing of it, the feel of it. That's what kind of got me into really the music.
Absolutely. Like you can be influenced by so many things or so many people, but at the end of the day, it's about, bringing your own personality out.
That's right. That's the other thing you get if you listen to the history of jazz. Ben Webster sounds completely different to Benny Golson, to John Coltrane, to Gene Ammons, to Sonny Stitt, Sonny Rollins. All of that is first you learn the language of the music from those recordings, and then you learn that they each have their own spin on how to play, and they all sound differently.
Yeah.
They're all playing tenor saxophone. A lot of them are playing the same kind of saxophone, Selmer Mark VI or super balanced action. But, they all sound different. Yeah. And that's their personality.
Absolutely.
To the music.
Would you say that you already have your own approach of obviously you've been playing for quite a while, but how would you describe your sound to somebody?
I would say it's a mixture of things. First, it's kind of, I would say, a big toned tenor sound that's robust, similar to a mixture of certain players. So similar to Gene Ammons, who was a Chicago tenor player, and he toured the world, of course, and he was in Billy Eckstine's big band, and it's just kind of a big sound. Lester Young is a certain influence on my lines, when I'm playing. I would say some Sonny Rollins is a big influence. So a lot of big sound with a heavy swing and something that you can change with the music. So in other words, you're not going to play a ballad the same way you play an up-tempo.
Yeah.
Rhythm changes.
Absolutely.
Right? And so even when you listen to those players, they play those things just a little bit differently. So I try and do that too.
Yeah.
And so that...
Also, it's good to know, we're going to hear Max Levy a little bit, in a couple of minutes with the strange home with Everyday Strangers. A couple of last questions. Are you working on any projects right now? Do you have an album that's coming up?
Well, I don't have an album right now, but I do plan to push more of my time and money into projects, into products, really. I mean, I have a plan for a duo album. I was doing a number of gigs with another saxophone player, Matt Baldwin, and we have a group that has dueling tenor saxes. So it's somewhat similar to Sonny Stitt and Gene Ammons and those groups from the 50s and 60s that had two saxophone players going at it. So we did a recording, and we're going to work on releasing that next year. And we also may be having a Christmas gig where we're doing a number of Christmas songs, but arranged for two saxes.
Yep.
And that's in December. And lately I've just been doing a number of duo gigs. One is every Sunday brunch at Lenexa Public Market. And I call a number of people, Mike Pagan, Jeff Shirley, just a number of different people that I pull from to do those duo gigs. And so I've just been able to do that, and also some other classic rock bands I'm in. Brass Rewind is one. Another is Hard at Play. And so those have been playing about once a month, 1 or 2 gigs a month with them. So piecing all that together, that's what I've been doing.
Awesome, yeah. So how can people find you?
Well, it's a little complicated because my Facebook was actually hacked in April, and they were using my credit card to buy Facebook ads. So I'm not able to log on to Facebook, but you can still see my page, Max Levy Music, which I am able to post from because I'll mirror a post from my Instagram. Okay. So Instagram is at @mlevysax, @MLEVYSAX. And so there you'll see up-to-date information. And I also have my website, www.maxlevymusic.com. And I post a calendar of what I'm doing, and there's ways to get in touch with me through that website.
Well, thank you for coming in the studio, Max. And we're about to transition in the Strange Room with Everyday Strangers, featuring Max Levy on sax. And also, if you guys are enjoying what you're listening, we are here every Thursday for you guys. And also, if you want anybody to come in the studio and collaborate with Everyday Strangers, please comment down below and let us know who are the people you would like us to talk with or maybe collaborate with. Even if they're out of state, we might be able to take care of them. We might. I'm not saying we will. Maybe you can. Who knows? So again, thank you for coming in, and stick around for the next part. Woo!
Yeah, hold.